Lawyers for women who testified against Harvey Weinstein say they are outraged that New York's highest court has thrown out his 2020 conviction for sexual assault. The Court of Appeals ruled 4-3 yesterday that alleged victims who weren't involved in the charges against the disgraced Hollywood producer should not have been allowed to testify. Weinstein's attorney said yesterday, "We knew Harvey Weinstein did not get a fair trial. There are some people who are unpopular in society, but we still have to apply the law fairly." Now, Weinstein will continue to serve a 16-year sentence after a separate case in California. But joining us now are Ashley Judd. She's the first actor to come forward with allegations of sexual harassment against Weinstein, and New York Times investigative reporter Jodi Kantor, who's reporting on Weinstein, helped launch the Me Too movement. Good morning to you, ladies.
Good morning. Good morning.
I know this is a tough day for you, Ashley. Take me through the emotions when you heard this news yesterday, the court overturning and throwing out this conviction.
I was planning our summer vacation to Yellowstone National Park, and Jodi called me. She said, "Pick up right now." And what I want to note is that male sexual violence is such a thief. First, they rape us, and then they steal our time. Because I was having a great morning, and now I have to invest in talking about how not only is Harvey Weinstein still guilty, but we have institutional betrayal, which is a real thing. You know, the majority ruling of 4-3 was a slim one, but we continue to have to deal with the aftershocks of male sexual violence. You know, I should be writing my op-ed with Secretary Becerra about how we just launched our first ever national suicide prevention strategy and doing all kinds of other things with my time instead of continuing to cope with a serial sexual rapist.
Harvey Weinstein continues to deny the allegations. But Jodi, you say this case, though, was fragile from the start. Why is that?
So think of it this way. If you took all of the women who have terrible stories about Harvey Weinstein, they could fill a courtroom of their own, women like Ashley. However, most of those women, like Ashley, were not eligible to stand at the center of a New York criminal trial. The acts didn't take place here in New York. They took place too long ago. A lot of it was sexual harassment, as you experienced, and not the kind of criminal violent acts that can land you in jail. So prosecutors were left with only 2 women at the center of the New York case. Both of them admitted to having had consensual sex with Weinstein, which juries will sometimes reject. They'll say it's too blurry, it's too complicated. So to bolster their case, prosecutors brought in additional witnesses. Women who had experienced terrible things at the hands of Weinstein gave searing testimony, but it was controversial legally because the classic rule of criminal court, of course, is that the evidence should only pertain to the acts that are under scrutiny in court. And so when Weinstein was convicted, it seemed like a triumph for Me Too because he was convicted with a chorus of women's voices, but that also became the avenue for his appeal.
So when people hear this, and I was blindsided by it, I can't imagine people who invested their time, who went public with things they never wanted to revisit again, how they're feeling about it. And they're frustrated, they're angry. Should they be angry with the prosecutor? Did the judge make a mistake? I mean, how did this come to pass?
You go ahead.
I think that we should take a look both at Harvey Weinstein's serial predation, and not all men are rapists, but most men are silent about other men's sexual violence. And so first we have to take a look at the acts of violence and the systems that enable it. And women have higher rates of post-traumatic stress disorder in America than veterans do. This is just the water that we swim in. So I think we have to look at the whole pattern, and then we have to look at our institutions and strive toward institutional courage so that this doesn't happen anymore. And that's a real thing, and people can read about it. It lives at Stanford University. So that's where I want to focus my attention.
Okay. Ashley, one of the things that I think is going to be on a lot of people's minds, Alvin Bragg has said he intends to bring this case back to court, but for those victims who have to relive and go back into a courtroom and face that scrutiny and face that questioning, explain that to us.
Courtrooms are not healing spaces. They are traumatizing spaces. And victims should not have to perform their trauma in order to find peace. You know, what will give us satisfaction and peace is when men stop raping women, period. And the idea of resurrecting all of that is just such a tall ask.
Jodi, in retrospect, you say this first case in New York was fragile. That was very clear. I now understand why. This one in LA that's now on appeal, what does your reporting tell you what could happen there?
That is the one to watch. So Weinstein's lawyers are about to file that appeal next month. They are going to make some of the same arguments that were successful in New York. The California rules on allowing those kinds of witnesses are a little clearer, so that case may hold up. But I should tell you, the attorney that Weinstein is using is the same one who was able to get Bill Cosby's conviction thrown out.
Interesting. Yeah, we did get a statement from the Los Angeles County District Attorney's Office, and as you said, they say, unlike New York law, California law permits the admissibility of propensity evidence in sexual assault cases subject to the judge's discretion. So in this case, they can look at all of this and use more of those victims' statements then. What do you think, though, overall, this conviction being overturned yesterday does to the Me Too movement, which you so reported on for so long?
I know that there is a tendency to score Me Too like a basketball game and to say, Governor Cuomo resigns, it's a point for the women, and Harvey Weinstein has his conviction overturned, it's a point away from the women. But that is not actually the right way to look at this history. First of all, there was a fierce fight among the judges on this appeal panel. 7 judges, 4 of them women, in heated debate about the right thing to do. The dissents in this case are stinging. You can feel the frustration from these judges rising off the page. They call the majority clueless and out of touch and naive. And this decision in the end was made by one vote. So
4-3, yeah.
One vote. So I think what I would say is it is a sign of the health of the legal system that there is this debate about the most realistic and powerful way to try sexual crimes.
And I just go back to Ashley. Thank goodness for women like you who came forward from the start.
Beginning.
You spoke out, you spoke your truth, but yet you have to continue to fight this fight. What are your final thoughts?
You know, Me Too is not a moment, it is a movement. And as Tarana Burke said yesterday, the bad news is that there are many survivors of male sexual violence, and the good news is there are a lot of us. And it's a clarion call. And I would encourage everyone to visit the Me Too website and also reach out to the Rape and Incest National Network, because it is an activating moment. And we can support each other, we can nurture each other. And when we tell our stories, we're exercising leadership. You know, we're encouraging others to join us in collective action for moral purpose.
Such a clear, I really appreciate your clarity and your courage on this point. Both of you have been so really stunning today. Thank you.
The conversation continues. Ashley Judd and Jodi Kantor, thank you so much.